James Bond followed the younger, fitter, scuba-suited body of Gala Brand as they swam beneath the water, 10 feet below the surface, the bottom a shimmering, shifting plateau with colourful peaks and troughs a further 10 feet below them. Creatures stirred, fish of all sizes darted to and fro as the black-clad figures moved smoothly through their midst. Bond is in his element. He is comfortable, calm, and thoughts collected. To him, this is an assignment for young people, but the benzodrine coursing through his veins makes him feel 30 years younger. The underwater scape changes imperceptibly at first, with a flourish of jagged rocks and bursts of coral vivid beneath the sunlit water. A blackness looms ahead. Bond casts a glance upwards. Nothing has altered. They are still moving in what should be clear, open waters. At least that was the case when they were in the boat. But there is definitely a landmass ahead of them, and a man-made structure like a pylon which towers high into the sky. They don't investigate by rising to the surface, erring on the side of caution. Bond figured that anybody wishing to hide an entire island from view would have nothing but the best surveillance technology at their disposal. Gala slowed, treading water ahead of Bond. He stopped alongside her, took her arm and tread water with her. She pointed towards the jagged, water-formed rocky barrier which blocked their path. Bond's eyes adjusted. They aren't what they used to be. He no longer had 20/20 vision, but he could discern a black opening in the barrier, a passage through the rocks. Bond nodded, and once more he followed her through the water. The blackness engulfed them, and Gala's torch burst into life, creating a yellow glow. The water was clear ahead and around them, the passage wide and high enough to swim onward. After 50 yards, during which distance the passage gradually inclined, they slipped out of the water onto a hard ledge, wrought in the island from thousands of years of evolution. Bond took his mask off and smiled at Gala, who had already removed hers and was unzipping the wetsuit from her neck. "That was invigorating," Bond said in the best whisper he could manage, his breath coming fast. Gala silently grinned at him and sensually slipped out of her wetsuit, standing naked in front of him. "It's warm in here," she said breathily. "My dear Gala," Bond said quietly as he removed his own wetsuit, "you are incorrigible." From the waterproof holdall which Bond had brought with him, Bond took out their rudimentary wardrobe, a t-shirt and bikini bottoms for Gala, shirt and shorts for him, plus a pair of deck shoes each. Once they were more appropriately dressed, Bond attached a utility belt to his waist, which held a knife and a revolver. He carried a machine pistol. Gala slung the strap of a machine pistol over her shoulder and carried a lethal .44 caliber revolver. A dry passage ascended into the rocks, light streaming in from above. "Let's see what that tall structure was," Bond said as he led the way up the naturally formed rocky passage, careful not to touch the sides with anything that might make too much noise for fear of being detected. Gala followed in a similar fashion. Once they had ascended to the topmost level, a climb of just 50 yards, Bond's breath was taken away by the 100 feet tall metallic pylon topped with a red beacon, which looked like some alien spaceship had landed on the surface, its conical platform moulded to the rocks beneath. There were more of these pylons at regular intervals around the hidden island. The exact amount, Bond could only guess at about 20. He could see beyond them, but through a bubble-like sheen. The island was lush with tropical flora, except for a large rectangular structure made of steel, which must have been 200 feet long by 100 wide. It was splitting into two. The hydraulics powering the mechanism whined. The process was slow, methodical. Bond couldn't see what was inside, but he could certainly take an educated guess. Movement caught Bond's eye. As well as the perimeter pylons, men with machine guns patrolled the visible water's edge. Bond felt lucky that he and Gala hadn't come ashore via boat using one of the landing beaches. Now he knew what had happened to Agent 007 and her companions. Gala joined him. Her gasp mirrored his own surprise, and he was an experienced ex-secret agent who had witnessed many bizarre outposts. He put the shock down to his age. "What is it?" Gala whispered tentatively into Bond's ear. "I think it's a missile silo." "But what kind of missiles?" "I dread to speculate. Either way, they are preparing for launch and we must stop it." Bond noticed a rough-hewn pathway between the rocks and the tall grass which bordered the silo. There were a few doorways with the possibility they might not be locked, considering the secret nature of this complex. Zhao had indeed been busy biding his time. "Follow me, Gala, but stay as low as you can." She nodded. Bond led them through the haphazard rock formations, keeping low to the ground. All he could hear was the rhythmic thumping of the silo doors opening slowly. He wondered how long it would be before the huge doors were fully opened and were ready for launch. Bond could almost feel the clock ticking. They reached the grassy border, but discovered the height of the tropical grass was barely 2 feet, and a surface of sharp slate made up the very Zen-designed edging. It would be a long and slow and uncomfortable crouched walk to the nearest silo entrance. They couldn't go through the grass because they would be visible to anyone who might be observing. Bond pursed his lips with irritability. "This is going to hurt," he announced to Gala as he indicated the surface they would now have to negotiate. "Not necessarily," she told him. Bond was going to glare at her witheringly until he saw she wasn't looking the same direction as he was. When he did see what it was she was watching, Bond could have laughed at his own single-minded stupidity. About 20 feet to the left, a much shorter route over the cutting terrain, rose a majestic domed outpost, which was clearly the command centre of the complex. An open doorway opened into the subterranean part of the facility. Bond kissed her firmly on the mouth and smiled a shit-eating grin. "What would I do without you?" "It's what you can do with me that counts." "I could do plenty of things with this benzodrine." "You don't need drugs to satisfy me, James." "Good grief, Gala, now isn't the time or place." "Pity." "My sentiments exactly." Bond led her once more, but this time at a slow crawl, the slate crunching loosely beneath the deck shoes. His knees burned painfully at the crouched stance he maintained, and it was with no small modicum of gratitude that when they reached the doorway. He stood upright and heard his knees pop, but felt no pain, the benzodrine working its magic, fooling his nerve endings. Bond hoped their effects would last until this task was complete. "You all right, old man?" Gala asked. "Magnificent," Bond told her. "Onward and upward, young lady?" "Yes, sir." Bond unholstered his machine pistol and released the safety. Feeling the cold steel made him feel young and powerful again. They strode down the empty white corridor, concealed sensor lighting bursting into life as their presence activated them. One advantage of this kind of illumination device was that if anyone lay ahead in waiting, Bond and Gala would know immediately. The disadvantage spoke for itself. Encountering nobody, they soon reached a staircase which spiralled upward for 4 levels. Bond concluded that all the guards must be on patrol around the island or directly involved in a silo operation. He would make Zhao pay for his complacency. Bond also warned himself to not make the same mistake as their unwitting host. They silently ascended the staircase, climbing the last flight, and the double-width open doorway in front slowly revealed a control room with various LED displays and a large domed window to the outside world. With their backs to the unexpected visitors was a severely deformed Zhao and another chap whom Bond did not recognise, probably because he was a nobody. Zhao's good hand was poised over a raised red button set on a panel in front of a number which counted down. It read 45. Bond raised both guns. No sense in underdoing it. "Zhao!" Bond shouted. The two men span around in surprise, because who wouldn't? The Korean registered recognition, but before he or his number one could react, Bond gunned them down with an unnecessary quantity of bullets. The countdown elapsed, flashing a warning before an aborted sign lit up all of the LED screens, just for good measure. Things must get easier when one is older, Bond quipped. Bond and Gala waved farewell to Robinson as he drove away from Bond's beachside home later that day. Gala linked her arm through his and they turned towards the beach. I liked him, Gala said. Yes, he's a good man. Bond cast a final glance toward the departing car, thinking that he might not see his old friend again, and this might be the last adventure he took part in. A penny for them? Not mine, Gala, they're precious. Fancy a dip? Let's take a swim first, shall we?